All right, everybody, welcome. It is a big day today. I have got a new little toy that I'm going to be getting to play around with for the next couple of weeks, and I'm about to show you guys what that is. I'm super excited. I know you guys are going to be super excited when you see it, so let's go ahead and just get into it. All right, here we go. So this is the Mega Mower X by Quick Attach, and ran into these guys at the Equipment Expo. They had a huge booth there. All of their different stuff was out there, and I was walking by and I was like, man, they got some cool looking stuff out there. And I saw this thing sitting there, and as you guys know, I am a huge equipment nerd, and I'm even a bigger nerd when it comes to brush cutters, because that's kind of how I started in business, was running a brush cutter on a skid steer. And I've done a lot of work with brush cutters, done a lot of things that a lot of people didn't even think was possible with brush cutters, and I am a total nerd for them. So anytime anybody comes out with a new one, new design, new technology, all that stuff, I'm a total nerd for it. How does it work? What's the new design stuff on it? What improvements does it have? So I saw this thing sitting there and got to talk to Aaron, the head sales guy for this particular mower, and also Shane, who is their head engineer. Those two guys spent 2 whole years developing and designing this, developing it, testing it, making improvements, testing it some more before it even came to the market, before they even sold it to anybody. They spent 2 years doing that. So gotten to meet Aaron and Shane and nerd out with them for a little bit, and they knew who I was from watching some of my other brush cutting videos with the MTL, and started getting into this thing, and I was really impressed with it. And they were like, hey man, do you want to demo it? And I'm like, yeah. So they shipped it to me, and just got here today. They just took it off the truck. It was supposed to be here yesterday. I sat here at the office all day yesterday waiting on it, and it didn't show, and I had to be here to sign for it. So it just got here today about lunchtime, and we're gonna go ahead and get the skid steer out. I'm gonna unhook the mulcher. We'll come around and hook this thing up, kind of go over some of the details of it and show you guys what it's all about, and maybe we'll go and hook it up and fire it up, make sure everything works good with it, and then hopefully tomorrow we're going to get into some mowing projects. I got about 10 acres to mow on 3 or 4 different lots that we're going to get into, and I may even take it out in some other areas where there's some brush on some other projects, and maybe we'll get into that as well. So let's get this thing hooked up. All right, let's get the mulcher disconnected here. This is your pressure relief up here, so all that should relieve some of my pressure in the lines. Let's unhook the case drain. Come on. There we go. This good boy. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, is the ball lined up? That ball is all the way over there on the other side where I can't see it. Getting this mulcher hooked and unhooked is not, because these lines, these lines are so big and they're so heavy, and they're wrapped together. You can't literally move one without moving the other one. Trying to line a little ball up with the feels like it's close. Wow. I could get this off. Ow! Ow! Here it comes. Ah, there we go. All right. There we go. Ah, there we go. And contact. Oh yeah. Thank you for beeping in my ears. One thing I don't like about this ASV, that little loud beeping thing. Ugh, blow your eardrums out. I'm gonna back this up just a hair. I'm gonna do this with one hand here. Come on. Ultra up. I'll let it warm for just a second. I'm gonna back it up where the exhaust is going out the back, not into my warehouse. All right. Show you guys a little trick with this mulcher I learned from Chris over at CCE. Let this thing warm up and I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna disconnect this thing. All right, so I know everyone's gonna say, Davin, why in the hell did you unhook the mulcher like that? Well, so one of the issues that you've got with this ASV that I didn't have with the Deere, and it has to do with the way this mounting, like your visibility from the cab to this mounting plate. If the mulcher is sitting up like this, it's really hard to hook up to an attachment, especially a mulcher, because what happens is, see that that curve? When you try to go and push up on it to hook up to it, it wants to roll on that skid plate down there. It wants to roll forward and it'll tip itself over. I've almost done it a couple of times in here trying to hook up to it. I was in here one day, it took me over 5 minutes to get that attach plate to hook up, and I never had that problem with the Deere, ever. I mean, typically I could just go up to anything, boom, click in, go. With that thing, it's not as easy for whatever reason. Some of it's the visibility, some of it's just the way it just kind of goes up in there. So Chris was like, with those ASVs, and that's all of them, he said just turn it over, and then that way it can lay like this. It doesn't hurt the mulcher at all to lay like this at all, as long as I need to make sure those heads are okay. Yeah, they're fine. And what happens is when you come to hook it back up, it's stable, it's on the floor, and you actually see it. So when I lift the attachment plate up, I can see the attachment plate and roll it right in there and actually see it, and also see it and confirm it to make sure the pins are locked in as well. So that's a really easy way to do that. If you've got an ASV with a mulcher, you can do this. It doesn't hurt the mulcher one bit. Just make sure your lines are secure so they don't get hung up on anything, and you're good to go. So quick little tip there. All right, let's go get this brush cutter hooked up. Come on. Here we go. Nice. All right, I'm about to go nerd level 5000 on this brush cutter. I want to go over a couple of things, some of the design points of this mower that I really like, and we're going to see what this thing's all about. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is the 72-inch cut model for this. They make this in a 66-inch cut, 72-inch cut, and a 78-inch cut. This is the 72. I don't know what the overall width is. I'd have to measure it, but it's probably about the same width as the MTL, which I think is, on the 72-inch cut, I think it's like 78 inches overall, and I think the 78-inch cut is like probably like 84 or 86 inches overall, something like that. So you can see it's just about the width of the skid steer. It lines up almost exactly right there, which is really nice. And this one has a high flow pump in it. That is, I believe that's a 150cc radial piston motor. I'm not sure who makes it. Let me look. Let's see. Fluid Gear. And it is rated for 25 to 41 gallons per minute. They also make these in both the standard flow and the high flow, so you can get them with just regular direct drive motors. For running a machine that doesn't have high flow, or if you do have high flow, you can get the piston motors, which require the third case drain line. So even if you have a smaller skid steer that doesn't have the high flow, you can still get one of these. So one of the things that they did back here, which I thought was really cool, is this is all grade 50 1/2-inch steel back here on the mounting plate. So this is all really thick, really well overdone, full welds all the way down for your and across the top for the mounting plate. So all of this is really beefy. You're not going to have to really worry about ripping this off or ripping this back. It's got gussets right here for extra support, and you've also got this nice little step right here as well to help you step up in and out of the machine. The other thing I really like about this, and this is an issue I have with the MTL when I'm mowing specifically, is on the MTL this whole back is enclosed, and when you're mowing really heavy and really thick grass, what ends up happening is, especially on this side because I'm running clockwise, is as that mower comes around and grabs that grass, it ends up balling back here and making a big pile of grass, and as that builds, it impacts the blades and slows the cutter down. So this is open right here. It's not completely wide open where this is really a safety hazard, but it allows any material built up here, grass and stuff, especially when you're mowing, to just come right out the back. And if I had this a little lower down, you would be able to see that a little better, but I'll put the, you know, you can see how that's open right there to allow that grass to come out the back, which I think that's going to be very much a game changer when it comes to mowing grass. So everyone's going to wonder, what's the capacity of this thing? This mower has a 10-inch cut capacity. Now, they don't recommend you go out to an acre and take down a whole acre full of 10-inch trees, but if you come across a tree, if you're making trails through some brush and you come across a tree that's about 10 inches or so, this mower can take down, it is rated to take down a 10-inch tree. Now, taking down a tree is different than mulching up a tree, okay? So they do rate this as where the blades will come around and you can cut into and fell a 10-inch tree, but they don't recommend you mulch up a 10-inch tree with it. But you can get it down, and then you can kind of get the limbs off of it and then push the trunk of it out of the way or something like that. But it will take down a tree that big. And actually, and I'll put links in the description below of Quick Attach, where Shane, the engineer that designed this, he actually takes down a 13-inch tree with this mower down to the ground, stump down to the ground, over 13 inches. So that's very, very impressive for a brush mower to be able to handle that. That being said, this mower is a brush mower. It's everything about it, from the plate care to the RPMs to the design of it, is optimized for grass and brush. That's what it's made to do. That's its baby. But again, if you need to take down, if you're making a trail or out somewhere where you're mowing down brush on a lot or mowing grass on a lot, and you come across a bigger tree that just needs to go, and you need to get it down so you can get it out of the way later, it will do that. But it's everything about this thing is optimized for brush and grass. It's not a mulcher. That's not what it's made to be. That's not what it's supposed to be. But it's very impressive with what it can do as far as the size of trees that it can take down. One of the cool design features that they came up with this is on the front here, which I thought was really, really cool. What they've done here is they've done two things here. One, you can see it's got this long slope here along this front edge. And what that is, so on the MTL that I've got in a lot of other brush cutters, you'll have a flat surface that comes all the way down, and then on the front you'll have a real sharp angle in the front for putting the nose of the brush cutter down to back drag. Well, this has this long slope here that's pivoted about halfway down the mower, where you can actually have this whole length where you can basically pivot this head down and get those blades to have better ground contact, to get on the ground, get in the ground, and mulch up whatever it is you're cutting. If you want finer mulch, that's how you do that, is with those blades, is putting those blades on the ground and back dragging. And you know, that's going to wear your blades a little bit faster when you do that, but again, blades are fairly cheap for brush cutters. You know, there's only 4 of them on here. It's not like you've got 30 or 40 teeth that are $30 or $40 a piece on like a mulcher head. You've only got 4 of them. If you wear them out, they're pretty inexpensive to replace. The other thing are these teeth right here. These are pretty cool. These are laser cut into this frame here, and what these are, they're basically like limb shears. If you're going along in the woods and you're making trails and you've got a bunch of low hanging branches and stuff like that, these can actually reach up. You can lift the deck up and actually cut, and what you would want to basically turn the blades off and shut the mower down for safety reasons. But you can actually put these teeth into a limb sticking out like this and move the deck up and down, and it will, you know, shear them off. And they're pretty sharp in there, I'm not gonna lie. And you know, they actually have a video of them showing that doing that. I'm actually really want to try it myself and see how it actually works. But that's what these are here for. And you can see this whole frame here really runs the whole length of the mower. There's nothing here that sticks out outside of this frame here too much that can really, you know, if you run into something where it can damage or get deformed here, all of this is pretty solid through here. On this corner, these corners end up taking a lot of abuse when you're, especially when you're working around trees. The corner tips of mine are on the MTL are pretty torn up, and you guys have seen me with the welder try to fix those up a little bit. This is all one reinforced piece down through here from the bottom plate through here to help keep that from happening, which is really, really nice. The other thing about these corners here, like if you see this corner here, these crossbars up here, a lot of the stuff, you know, on these corners, especially back here as well, back here, right here, all of that stuff is rounded to keep this brush cutter from, like when you're back dragging or mowing, from grabbing material and dragging it, or it getting caught on the mower itself. They rounded a lot of it off to keep stuff, you know, from either catching or falling on it and staying on it, where hopefully it'll either not catch and drag off the back or the front, or if it falls on here, it's a lot easier to get off. There's a lot less things for stuff to get kind of caught up into. Now the reinforcement on this deck is pretty impressive. I think this might be one of a slightly older model, because on the new videos I've seen, this gusset here runs all the way up, and this is one whole piece that runs all the way up like this to this cross member here. It's all reinforced through one whole piece all the way to the back piece. So this all the way through here, that push bar is reinforced all the way back to the back plate. And that's on the newer ones, because the one in the video that Shane's got, that is the case on that, where that's one whole piece. These are all 3/16 inch thick, full tube 2x4 cross members that run fully through here. They're not cut here and on both sides. So this is not two pieces. This runs one whole length, and then this is outline cut through there, and then those are full welds all the way through there. The reinforcement on this thing is super heavy duty with these cross members. I was really impressed by that, with the size and strength of the steel, you know, through there to reinforce this deck is really impressive. And you can see here, even these cross members actually tie in to this side plate here. They actually brought the side plate up right here to actually reinforce this onto here, instead of this just being squared off here and this being squared off. This all ties in together to give it all that extra strength. If you're carrying this on a trailer without a machine on it, they've also integrated these nice little nifty tie down points. There's one here on both sides, and there's also tie down points here, and then you've got some other tie down points here and here on both sides as well, built into the cross members. So there's plenty of places to hook a chain or a strap to if you were carrying this down the road without a machine on it and you wanted to chain it, or, you know, chain it down or strap it down. There's plenty of spots to hook that into if you're going down the road carrying this thing or shipping it somewhere here and there. So that's also a really nice little feature, you know, in there. Just the little things that they've thought about in this, it make a big difference. All right, so let's talk about the business end of this thing. I may need to raise it up a little bit. Let me see if I can just do that really quick and we get a better look of what's underneath the deck here. All right, let's take a look at the business end of this bad boy. So we've got, this is a 4-blade system. You got 4 AR400 blades. I believe these blades are, I think, 15 or 16 inches long. They got brand new blades on it. Love that. They're dual-sided. I do not know if this is bi-directional. but these blades are cut on both sides. But don't quote me if they are bi-directional or if the motor is bi-directional. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to check on that. One of the cool things that they've done with these mounting bolts is they've got the hockey puck style here, but one little extra thing that they've done, I really like these hockey puck style. You don't have to worry about anything right here. You just have to worry about the nut on the top. But what they've done is taken these little cotter pins, drilled these bolts, and put these lock nuts in here, where this cotter pin right here basically locks this nut into place and keeps this nut from backing itself out and obviously letting that blade go and flying off and, you know, hurting you, hurting the machine, hurting the deck, hurting somebody else. I mean, that's if a blade comes off this thing while it's spinning, you know, you can only guess of how bad a day that could be for a lot of people, including yourself. And you know, that's a really cool little safety feature in here. And then, you know, to get that out, you just take a you know, a hammer and a punch, knock that pin out, take this bolt off, take your blade off. That's a really, really cool safety feature that I really love. This does have carbide teeth on it, 12, you know, three carbide teeth. These are all pretty standard on brush cutters, are these 3/4 inch carbide teeth. My MTL has them, and a lot of other brush cutters come with these same type of design of carbide teeth. So you've got 4 sets of 3 on here, which is really nice. But if you don't want them, you can obviously take them off. They're just bolting on through the top up there. The other thing that they've got, and you've seen this a lot with the newer style brush cutters, are these wire catches up here. So if you happen to get in any barbed wire or anything like that, if it gets on top of the deck, it's not going to go to your bearing carrier up there. Yeah, these are going to basically grab that wire, and the wire will wrap around these and keep that from getting to the bearing shaft and causing damage or giving you a really, really bad day of trying to get that stuff out of there. That's you get stuff wrapped around that bearing shaft, and that can be a pain to get out. So those are really, really nice as well. This has got a bit of a different 4-blade design. It's not rounded, it's actually like a square. It's like a rounded square. You can see that. So they've kind of given this a little bit different design, and you can see how big this mounting shaft is. Look at the size of this. This is huge right here. And so this thing has a massive shaft in it, and the shaft, it's a fully forged shaft, and this is a 3/4 inch plate here with this. And one thing I do like about this over the MTL design, the MTL has a double plate design. I think it's 2 1/2-inch plates with the blades sandwiched in between them, and that's a good design. There's nothing really wrong with it from a strength standpoint or anything like that. But the problem is, you've got these blades here, and you've got another plate sandwiched right here. What happens is, if you're cutting brush, every once in a while you'll hit something, a piece of brush just right, and a piece of brush or a stick will get stuck in between the 2 plates and get wedged in there, and it will throw the carrier out of balance, and you'll feel it kind of wobble in there. You'll know it almost immediately. Is it a huge deal? No, but typically when that happens, I'll keep cutting, and then, you know, when I get to a stopping point, you know, within the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'll stop, let it slow down, and then I've got a couple of tools in my truck that I'll use to get that out of there. But still, that's one of those things where it just can kind of kill productivity sometimes when you're in just a certain size material for stuff to get stuck, you know, in between those 2 plates. So this single 3/4 inch plate, they've designed this to have a good balance of both speed and inertia. There's a trade-off there. You know, the heavier you get, you're going to get more inertia, but you're going to come down on your speed. So according to Shane, the engineer, this thing has a really good balance of both speed and inertia, and that's why I really want to try this thing on grass. There's not any videos really of them running this thing, you know, too much in really, really thick grass, and I've got some really thick grass. And you might say, well, it's just grass. That's, you know, go put that thing in some brush. Well, what happens is, if you know, you're in some really, really thick grass, it can bog down these brush cutters. You know, you're in tall, really thick, dense grass. It's really hard on these brush cutters to mow that type of stuff. It's like trying to rip a phone book in half. You know, everyone says, well, it's just paper, just little pieces of paper. But if you put 500 of them together, you can't rip a phone book in half. And that's the same principle. Yes, it's just grass, and each little stalk of grass individually by itself is not much, but when you combine this much grass, as wide as this brush cutter is and as deep as it is, and you're going through it as, you know, pretty quick, that adds up, and it puts this tremendous amount of strain on these brush cutters. And I want to see what kind of speed and torque that this thing has, that it, you know, where it can handle that. Luckily, this thing's got a pump on it that can handle up to 40 gallons a minute, so we're going to turn the high flow up on this thing to probably somewhere around, we'll try it at different speeds. We'll try it at 30 gallons a minute, we'll go up to 35, and then maybe up to 40, see how it performs at different flow ranges on this in the grass. And then I may take it out to some couple other places at the farm. We'll get into some brush. I've already seen this thing take down some big ass trees. There is video of Shane taking down a 13-inch tree. I don't need to go out and cut down a 12-inch tree to show you guys it can do that. I've seen it do that. I'll put a link in the description below. I'm not trying to tear this thing up and break it. I want to see how it performs for what I do, especially in really heavy grass and in brush. I don't need to go out and take down a 12-inch tree with it to see if it can do that. Seen it done, know it can do it, don't need to see anything else. So we're going to put this thing through its paces in the mowing and the brush cutting category. And if you got any other questions, I'm going to put, like I said, those links to the descriptions below, so you can kind of Shane go over some of the other points about this thing. He's much more knowledgeable than I am about it, but I just wanted to hit the high points of this thing, just some of the stuff that they've gone into, the detail, the little detail things that really make a big difference when it comes to designing a brush cutter. And I'm a total nerd for these things. If I've bored you in this video, I apologize, but I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna hook this thing up really quick, attach it up. I'm gonna put the high flow on 30 gallons a minute, and we're just gonna run it up, make sure everything's good with it, functional with it, and see how she do. So let's do that really quick. Everything seemed good with that. I only ran that at 30 gallons a minute, which is as low as the high flow would go. I just wanted to give it a test run just to make sure that it's spinning in the direction that I want. And it is, it's going clockwise. So I think everything is good there. Seems fine. So yeah, we should be good. One issue we've got here is this case drain line is a little bit too short. So when I go to tilt the head down, it's pulling on this line. But I think what I'm going to do is just reroute it from up underneath there and just let it sit right here, and once I do that, it should be fine. These didn't seem like they were pulling, but that case drain is. I don't know why. I guess it's just short. I may have to reroute all those hoses. See, I noticed the case drain one because it's up a little higher, and it's definitely pulling right there. You can see, I mean, there's no slack there. I don't really want to have to go get a new one and lengthen it, but I'll do what I gotta do. But we'll see. Maybe I can just lay it right there. Maybe that'll work if it lays right there. That should be fine. So, okay. I think we can work around that problem, but yeah. All right. So we will be getting into some mowing tomorrow afternoon. I've got to go look at 2 jobs, actually 3, first thing in the morning. So I may not get here tomorrow until about noon, but hopefully we should have enough time to go throw this thing on the trailer, maybe go knock out 2 little lots tomorrow afternoon. I think we're going to go over the little lot that I've been maintaining for the last couple years. Not much there. It's where I got stung by that bee a couple years ago. We need to mow that, and then we may go do the 1 acre nightmare as well. We'll knock that one out real quick as well. It's just some grass. It needs its fall mowing. So if we can knock those 2 out tomorrow afternoon, that'd be a good little afternoon with this thing. Give me a chance to get used to it, and we should be good to go. So stay tuned. I am really excited to run this thing. When we take it over there, that little lot, 30 gallons a minute is probably all it's going to need over there. That's not much over there. And then when we go over to 1 acre, the 1 acre Nightmare, we may kick it up to maybe 32, 33, 35. We'll see how it goes in there. But yeah, super excited to get this thing tried out. Like I said, I'm gonna put links in the description below to the 2 videos for quick attach for this mower, and there's several other ones, but I'll do the 2 where Shane kind of goes over all the big stuff, and then the other one where him taking down that big tree. Like I said, I'm not trying to take down anything big, because I've seen it do that. We don't need to go down that route. But yeah, big shout out to these guys for letting me demo this thing for a couple weeks. I'm super excited to use it, and we're gonna see what it can do on some grass. Will it perform? Will it not? We don't know yet, but we're gonna put it to the test, and I'm gonna give you guys my full feedback on how I think this thing does. So stay tuned, and catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.